Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 favorite werewolf movies. Yes, I've done top 10 lists for zombies and vampires. I thought, you know what, let's talk about some werewolves, because they're people too, you know. No, they're not. They're half people, half wolves. Anyways, yes, as many good werewolf movies as there are zombie movies and vampire movies, so it took a lot for me to do my research and actually find 10 great werewolf movies. I managed to do it, so yeah, here's my top 10 favorite werewolf movies. Alright, coming in number 10 is Teen Wolf. Yes, Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox, a very cheesy 80s movie about a high school kid got bit by a wolf and now he's a teen wolf. Yes, they actually made a show about this. I've never watched a single episode of that show, but I've heard mixed things, mostly bad things, but pretty mixed things, but Teen Wolf, yes, they made a sequel to this movie with Jason Bateman. My God, was that awful. But this movie, not great, but it's still kind of fun. It's that 80s cheese that I do enjoy. And Michael J. Fox is really fun and very entertaining, and he's just milking the role up. Him as the werewolf looks kind of ridiculous, but it's a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of good jokes, a lot of good gags. There's some pretty funny side characters. There's a kick-ass scene at the ending when he's playing basketball as the werewolf, and it's pretty, again, ridiculous but fun. The entire movie, again, the entire premise alone is ridiculous, but it's fun, and it's my 10th favorite werewolf movie. Coming number 9 is a tie between Underworld and Underworld Evolution. Yes, I actually have a guilty pleasure for both the Underworld movies, even though the central character is Celine, who's a vampire, but the guy she's with, Michael, is a hybrid. He is a werewolf and a vampire because she bites him and stuff, but it is a movie about a war between vampires and lycans, werewolves, so it's still technically a werewolf movie. So yeah, I enjoy the first two Underworld movies. I don't like Rise of the Lycans. Awakening is a shitty-ass movie. Blood Wars was a god-awful piece of shit, but I do have a soft spot and a guilty pleasure for the first two Underworld movies. I don't mind how they're shot. I like the action scenes. I like the two lead characters, Celine and Michael. I like Lucien, played by Michael Sheen. And yeah, they're just fun, entertaining, gory vampire movies, and they're just fun to watch. Coming number 8 is Dog Soldiers. Dog Soldiers is this very independent horror film about, again, wolves and stuff, a very survival movie. And the low budget feel makes the movie feel more personal and disturbing and more realistic, and it gets you more into the movie. This movie is violent and disgusting, and it can be at times repulsive, but the movie is pretty enjoyable. I do enjoy the central characters. The effects seem a bit cheap looking, but they kind of look not bad from a distance and stuff, and the movie is decently directed, decently paced, and it actually does have some genuine scares, and for a low-budget horror movie, I quite enjoyed it. Coming number 7 is Ginger Snaps 2 Unleashed. Yes, I'm a big fan of the Ginger Snaps movies. They're Canadian movies. Yeah, go Canada. We did something good. Yes, Ginger Snaps. Ginger Snaps 2. It takes place just after the first one, and it's about Ginger's sister, and basically they think she's going crazy. She's slowly turning into possibly a wolf. No spoilers. That is kind of a spoiler. Anyways, they send her to an institution because they think she's crazy and stuff. There's also in this movie is Tatiana Maslany from Orphan Black. She plays a very young girl who befriends the lead character and busts her out of the institution, but she's using her for different reasons. Again, no spoilers, but it's a very fascinating story. It's more of like a psychological thriller than a straight-up monster horror movie like the first one was, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the performances, I enjoyed the atmosphere, and I just enjoyed seeing Tatiana Maslany in a very young role, and yeah, it was a pretty good movie. I like the Ginger Snaps movies, and this one's a good one. Coming number 6 is The Howling. Yes, The Howling is directed by Joe Dante. Again, a very classic monster movie. And again, no spoilers, this movie is really tension-filled and very intense and very creepy and pretty edgy at times. It does have some pretty stock horror movie characters, but the movie is still well executed because, again, if you're a Joe Dante fan, you know exactly what you're going to get into. It's a very quirky horror movie with pretty cool practical effects, and the movie is just enjoyable. It's an enjoyable monster movie, and it's an enjoyable werewolf movie. Coming number 5 is the movie Wolf. Yes, Wolf stars a pretty big cast. Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer, James Spader, Christopher Plummer. The cast in this movie is pretty big. David I. Pierce, and yeah, this is actually a pretty darn good movie. This is directed by Mike Nichols, who's done a lot of some amazing films like Charlie Wilson's War, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Biloxi Blues. He's done a lot of great films, and this is kind of an odd movie because this is kind of like a B-rated horror movie, but honestly, he actually puts a lot of care into this movie, a lot of character depth into it, and it's actually a pretty enjoyable film. Thanks mostly to the performances. Like, James Spader is very over the top of this movie, but he's very enjoyable. Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer actually give good performances because they are good actors and stuff. And basically, it's the story of this editor guy, and basically gets bit by a wolf, and in this movie, he's slowly turning into a wolf, but the stages slowly, and his senses get better. His senses get better, his sight, his hearing, his strength and stuff, and he falls in love with Michelle Pfeiffer's character, and she wants to do what it takes to protect him, and then James Spader slowly gets turned into a wolf, and there's like this wolf battle and stuff, and yeah, it's a pretty enjoyable film. It's kind of creepy, it's darkly comedic, and yeah, it's just a movie I do enjoy. Coming number 4 is the tie between The Monster Squad and Trick or Treat. The reason I put these two at a tie and only at number 4, because they both would be at number 1, because I love these movies to death. They're both so good. Check them out if you haven't seen them. Great Halloween movies, but they're not technically central werewolf movies. They have werewolves in them, but they're not classified as werewolf movies. So I only put them at number 4 because they're not a big thing, because The Monster Squad is about the monsters. It's about Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman and stuff. It's all of them together. It's not central on the werewolf, but it's still Monster Squad. It's still got the nards and the kids hunting the monsters. Such a great film, man. I love it. It's so good. And again, Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat is about all the stories and all the different characters. The wolves is just in one story. I don't want to spoil how the wolves come into the story, but it's pretty darn awesome and a pretty good twist on the story. And yeah, 2 great Halloween movies. Again, amazing, but if they were more about werewolves, they'd probably both be at number 1. But since they're not, they're just at number 4. But yeah, if you haven't seen them yet, check them out. They're both great films. Coming number 3 is The Wolfman, 1941. Yes, this movie has Lon Chaney Jr., Claude Rains, and Bela Lugosi. This movie is a very classic movie. Like, again, if you love the classic Frankenstein with Boris Karloff, also the classic Mummy with Boris Karloff, or the Bela Lugosi Dracula movie, if you love the classic like Invisible Man, the classic monster movies, then you'll definitely love this movie. You'll love the practicality, you'll love the eeriness, you'll love the spookiness, the atmosphere and stuff, and you'll enjoy these characters. And these movies were always short and simple, to the point, and very subtle, and they were just enjoyable, fun, old school horror movies to watch. I love classic monster movies, especially when they're done right. That's why I love the classic Mummy movies or the Hammer horror films. And The Wolfman was a great classic one. It's not as good as Frankenstein or Dracula or even The Mummy, but it was still a really fun, enjoyable movie, and it's a good classic monster movie, especially if you love monster movies. Check this one out, it's a good one. Number 2 is Ginger Snaps. Yes, this is the first original Ginger Snaps, the first one original. The first Ginger Snaps. I'm acting like it's a remake or something, but yeah, the first Ginger Snaps movie. Again, Canadian movie, awesome. This movie is so good. I love this movie. I love how twisted and darkly hilarious this movie is. This movie is funny, but also downright unpleasant to watch, and I love it. It's basically about these 2 girls, these very gothic Satan worshiper girls. They're sisters, but yeah. And one of the sisters, Ginger, gets bitten by a wolf, and she's slowly going twisted and mad and very sexy and flirtatious with all the boys and stuff, and she's slowly turning into a wolf, and her sister doesn't really know what to do about it. She runs into this other guy who actually knows a lot about wolves and all of that dark magic stuff, and they basically have to work together to help cure Ginger, because Ginger has snapped. That's not funny. Anyways, this movie is very good. Again, it's darkly comedic, has great performances. Everyone is so good in this movie, and it has a lot of great dark comedy, and that's what makes this movie too. It is so funny to watch, and again, it's just unpleasant and weird and bizarre, but it's just so great. It's so great. It's Ginger Snaps, great movie. And my number 1 favorite werewolf movie is everyone should know what it is. It's an American Werewolf in London. Yes, American Werewolf in London is a fantastic film. They made a sequel, American Werewolf in Paris, not very good. I heard they're making a remake that has Max Landis doing it. I don't know how that'll turn out. Hope it's good, but this movie is really freaking solid. The beginning is what really makes it. Then it turns into more of like a darkly comedic movie, which is still awesome, but what makes me really love this movie is the first 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes of this movie is strictly atmosphere. It's really scary, very edgy. It really builds the tension, and I love it because the first 20 minutes is mostly about these two backpackers. They're these two best friends, and they're just backpacking. They're just backpacking through London. They're in the middle of this woods. They go into this pub and stuff, and they're just lost. They're trying to make their way through these woods in this little town and stuff, and then they know they're being followed by something. They hear noises, they hear howling, and basically they find out they're being tracked by a werewolf, and then one of the buddies gets killed, one of them gets bitten, and that's the lead character, and that begins Act 2 and that just begins Act 2 and Act 3 when he's in the hospital, slowly going crazy. They think he's going mad, but really, he's turning into a werewolf. And that's when it gets kind of darkly comedic and really unpleasant to watch, but it's pretty awesome to watch still. It's unpleasant, but it's still pretty cool. The practical effects looks fantastic. The lead performance by the lead actor is really good, but what makes me really love this movie is the first act. The first act is so freaking good. That is how you do horror. But again, the second, third act is still really great. That's what makes the whole movie as a whole. It's a great film, but what makes me really love this movie is the first act. But yeah, everyone knows that this is one of the best werewolf movies, so of course this movie had to be number one. So yeah, American Werewolf in London, best werewolf movie. So yeah, that's my top 10 personal favorite werewolf movies. So in the comment section below, please tell me, what are your top 10 favorite werewolf movies of all time? Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please like, subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.